Hey! This episode was brought to you by the iBioMed program at McMaster University. Follow Mac iBioMed or stick around for more info.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the first episode back for the new semester of iBioMed Brainwaves. Welcome to all of our new listeners, new first-time iBios, first-time people looking at the program. Happy to have you. I'm Sam.
And I'm Yumna.
And you may know us from last year if you were listening to some of our old podcasts. We actually did the last episode of last year as well, episode 5. If you haven't listened to that, check that out. And today we're going to be talking to you a little bit about a campus intro for our new people who haven't been on campus for a while, which is most of us. And yeah,
it doesn't even have to be first years.
Yeah, like
it could be second years.
Yeah, like I haven't been on campus before September for like a year and a half, so yeah. Well, to start off, since summer's just sadly a couple weeks gone. How was your summer?
Oh, it was good. Actually, funnily enough, I actually was on campus for my research. So I got the USRA, which we talked about in our previous episode. Plugging. Yeah, so if you're interested in research and want to look into scholarships, definitely check out NSERC, USRA, which is Undergraduate Student Research Awards. So I got that last summer, and I was working with Dr. Layla Soleimani in the engineering physics department, focusing on creating microchips to detect biomarkers or biomolecules that can serve as cancer markers. And I was going in at least 2 or 3 times a week to actually run experiments this summer. So the campus looks better now with more people. When I was going in the summer, it was like totally empty. No one was there.
Wow. Yeah, that would be so weird. Like, especially like in first year, even like when class would be out, it's just like the flood of people that come. Whereas like for you in the summer, it's like 2 people walking. I'd be like, what is going on?
Yeah. And the flood is still not there. Like, I know that when it's like the 20 mark, there's still like a few people floating around, but it's not like we have not seen it like full speed, in so long.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice buffer though, especially for like people who are just starting to come back, and even the first years, they kind of get like a taste of what it's like. And then like in January, hopefully if we're back in person, it'll be back to just a million people all walking out of, JHE all at one time.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that anymore. Like, it's been so long. I remember going through Musk and Student Center. It's like, okay, please let me go. My class is there. Like, it's a shortcut, but you have to account for the traffic.
Yeah, that was different. I remember in like Musk, I used to have like, there's like the booster juice. There's like a little pathway behind the booster juice. You can like go around the traffic. It's like, that was my spot. I was like, I'm going to cut around everybody. Whereas now, like, it doesn't matter where you walk. Like, you're getting in class the same amount of time.
Yeah. It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
So how about you? How was your summer? What'd you do?
I was on co-op. I was working as a business analyst at Green Shield Canada, which is an insurance company based out of Windsor. So, yeah, I was kind of doing some data analysis using Excel. I went into the summer, like, basically, like, barely knowing what an Excel function was. Like, I knew, like, what a cell was, and that was about it. And by the end, like, I kind of learned, like, formulas, like, how to make graphs. I learned even, like, how to do VBA coding, which is, like, how you automate Excel processes. So that was kind of cool. Never would I have thought that I would have learned that in, like, 4 months, because, I tried to learn Excel a bunch of times on myself, and, like, could not figure it out. So
I think being forced to learn it as your job
because
is a good motivator.
They're like, here's some data, like, analyze it. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to learn Excel now. Yeah, so it wasn't too bad. There's a lot of documentation online. That's the one thing you learn. And I think engineering really helped with that too, because like I'm in mechatronics, so we do like quite a bit of coding and stuff. So you get kind of familiar with learning how to look up your problems on like Stack Overflow and stuff like that. So that definitely helped. Because like someone who's like a first-time coder wouldn't know that those resources are available. So I think that being in the program we're in even helped that a little bit. And learning to code a new language obviously isn't a bad thing either.
Yeah, I mean, like, here's what I say. Like, if you know one language, it's kind of like a ball rolling effect. You can just learn other languages much faster because it's just like syntax difference, right? Instead of like learning the logic of it again.
Yeah, like a for loop is a for loop no matter what language you're doing it in. It's just like, do you add a bracket? Do you not add a bracket? Like, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So mechatronics, you had finished second year, and the co-op was just not related to mechatronics at all, or did you think that there were some components that were, in your job somehow?
Well, for me, it was a lot about just like getting like a feel of a bunch of different things. So I like the idea of like analyzing data. I think like Excel is a tool that every business uses. So it's like I should probably learn that. Yeah, and it's a lot about like I was in health insurance as well, health and dental. So I learned a lot about like how like companies are billed, like how health insurance works. Like like when I go into like biomedical, like how you like register your like devices to be covered by insurance, like how that works. So like that's yeah. So like I got kind of like a background. You kind of sort of say knowledge about like how to market products, which is something that is a bit different than like stuff you're taught in class, because you never really learn like, yeah, you've made a medical device, like how do you get people to buy it without having to pay actual money? Like how do you get it to be covered? And like that's something that would drive up sales. Like that was something pretty valuable that I learned as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like in HESI we learn about, how to get it to market, but we don't learn it in that detail, like learning about like insurance and covering that. It's more like, how do we convince the hospital that they want to use our our product and that kind of stuff, and how do we convince the user, and how do we bring it to market? But I think that's just like an extra neat little component that would just help like production of any biomedical device. So that's super cool.
Yeah. So I thought it was a fun summer. I learned a lot, and I met a lot of great people too. So yeah, hopefully I'll be there again soon one day. Maybe we'll see where my path leads me. But yeah.
Yeah. I'm still working in the lab that I was working with in the summer as part of my thesis. So as a 5th year HESI student, we do a thesis with any professor, and it kind of is a combination of biomedical engineering, health sciences, and entrepreneurship. So if your research is more based on one or the other, like mine is biomedical engineering, we still have like little tiny components of entrepreneurship and health sciences built into the thesis course. So it's like truly interdisciplinary in that sense.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So you're going to be done after this year. Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like really something to think about, like what to do next. I'm looking into the accelerated master's program. So that's kind of why I reached out to the professor and started this summer, because the accelerated master's program, you start the summer of your 4th year, and then the 5th year is off, especially if you're in one of the engineering streams. Then you obviously don't have the thesis component, and then you start right after you graduate for another year. So that would be your accelerated master's. But with HESI, I have a thesis course, so I decided to just continue it, and that way I'm able to get kind of 2 years in an accelerated master's. And especially with stuff like the work that I'm doing, where I'm creating like an assay, there's just like a lot of experiments and lots of like specifics to do. And I think that takes quite a bit of time. So I'm glad I have this like thesis buffer time, if you will, where I'm like able to run more experiments to do more in my master's.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. So that would be great. So if you can get the master's done a little bit quicker, that's always a good thing. So you can get out there and start building things and researching things and whatever comes after that, I guess, because you have a lot of options after that. So
yeah, I was just talking to one of my coworkers, and they were talking about how like a lot of the stuff in industry, like a master's is good enough. Because I was like thinking about like, okay, what do you do after a master's if you want to get into industry? Like, is it preferred to get a PhD? Especially if you're like going into the biomedical engineering scene. So yeah, like according to some of the people, they're like, yeah, master's is good, and like PhD is better if you want to go into academia and stuff, which obviously a lot of people do after research.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we also, as I mentioned before, this podcast episode is going to be a lot about campus. We started talking a little bit about that, and I don't know if you guys follow us on our iBioMed Instagram, which you should definitely do, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But we had a poll on there asking if you guys want to know anything about campus, our opinions, stuff like that. So we got a couple interesting questions. I'm going to start with my favorite question because I am half Italian, half Greek, so I really love food. So it's the best places to eat in and around campus. I have made a little list, but I'll let you go first.
Oh yeah. Okay, I really love the IHS the pizza. Like they're like these mini pizzas that are like, right off the oven. They're like super hot and it's like a nice big size too. So I love the IHS pizzas and I really like going to Bridges. So it's all a vegetarian vegetarian and vegan accommodations but it's just I'm not even a vegetarian, but it tastes so good. Like I just go there all the time.
I was gonna say that, me too. Bridges was on my list. Like I'm not vegetarian either, but like I get the pad thai like every couple of days. But it's closed right now, which is crazy. Makes me sad,
I wonder why that is. Like
yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Hopefully maybe they're just like waiting to like open it. Like maybe they're waiting for more in-person stuff to happen, or I'm not really sure why, but yeah, I don't know.
Centro's open, right?
Yeah, I went to Centro last week, I think, because I still have a bunch of meal plan money because for my first year, we got sent out of residence in March. So I still had a bunch of money left. So now I basically have food covered for me when I decide to go on campus for a little bit. So yeah, Centro's open. Awesome. Yeah. In Centro, have you ever been to, I think it's called Simply Simple? It's like right on the end. Oh, they have like, it's like a changing menu every day. It's like every day they'll have like their special. And it's like, they also have the vegetarian vegan options, but it's like fresh stuff. So it'll be like, like chicken tacos with like, honey glazed carrots. It's like, which is like not something you normally hear from like a cafeteria. Like it's normally like, chicken fingers and fries, which don't get me wrong, I love chicken fingers and fries, but
yeah, you want some of that gourmet stuff without needing to go out, right? Like what if you're like cramming for an exam and you're like, okay, I could have some like junk food, or I could have something gourmet,
Yeah, like, it's really healthy.
Almost gourmet.
They had like some like meatloaf, like roast beef, like some like for dinner times, like if you go like around 5, you'll get like this roast beef and it was really good. I remember me and my one friend used to go there all the time in first year. But yeah.
Wow, I guess I'll have to try it out now.
Yeah, definitely. And then on my list I have off campus the Arch Noodle House, which is a local Hamilton business that is on Main Street, like beside the Shoppers. Like it is like $10 and you'll eat for 2 meals for sure. Like it's massive portions and they're so good. They have everything you could ever want. Like you get like a bucket of noodles for like $11. Like it's delicious.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I'd recommend trying
off campus. Yeah, for sure. I think I'll try that out now. Cause I just off campus, I'm like, okay, I want to try something, like I'm gonna just have something quick. So like Pink's Burgers, I really like. And they have good vegetarian options too. And Quick Chicks sometimes. You just want that fried food, right?
I've never been to Quick Chick.
Yeah?
Is it like...
It's decent.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I live kind of close in that area of campus. It's like I always walk by and I'm always like, I'm going to try that one day, and like I haven't yet, but maybe this week will be the week.
It's kind of like Popeyes, actually. Just like... I know I'll offend some people who'll be like, no, Quick Chick is better, no, Popeyes is better, but I feel like it tastes the same. It's kind of like, fried chicken, and you can get a sandwich. It's pretty good,
Yeah, can't really complain about that.
Exactly. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So, where do you grocery shop? Just like in the food compartment?
Yeah, so... especially when I was in first year, there's the Fortino's on Main Street, which is right on the bus route. You can basically get on the bus from Main Street, like right at the end of campus, like right outside the Shoppers. You can get on the bus there and just, take you right in front of Fortino's. So we don't even have to walk that far. And they have like pretty much anything you want, like bread, groceries, like if you need medicine for whatever reason. Like they have like clothes even. They literally have anything you could ever want. So like I go there pretty much all the time. It's a bit pricey, but like, and the Shoppers on Main Street actually has a grocery section, which no one knows about. Like you can buy an apple at the Shoppers, which is like something you can't normally get. You can normally not get at the Shoppers. Like those are where I usually go. But
doesn't Fortino's also has like a 10% discount on Tuesdays for students?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is kind of clutch if you have to buy like something that's a bit expensive, like if you need new like Tide Pods or something, which is what I bought recently. It's like $25 for a bin. So like they're pretty expensive, but like if you go there for 10% off, like if you combine that with a bunch of things, you can save like quite a bit of money. So it's worth it.
Yeah. And I think you have to just show them your student ID or something.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, just go on a Tuesday and show them your student ID for 10% discount.
And
we are not sponsored by Fortinos or
no.
anything. It's just like some fun facts that we know.
Yeah. And I think, I'm not sure if they still have it with the pandemic and stuff, but there used to be a bus that ran from Kai's on Tuesdays to Fortinos, like a school bus that you could just like wait outside of Kai's and they'll just drive you right to Fortinos. You can buy your groceries, go back in the bus, and they'll drive you back. So it's literally, like for people who are on campus, it's not even a walk at all. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I live at home in Mississauga, so I don't really do groceries in Hamilton. I just knew about the Fortinos just because everybody talked about it.
Yeah, I live, like right now I'm in my house in Windsor just like visiting, but normally I live in Hamilton. So our next question is, where's your favorite place to hang out on campus?
Wow, that's kind of a hard question. So in first year, it was mostly at my friends' reses and stuff. They have study rooms in the basement, and we would just all study there. And I'm not really sure if that's still allowed with the pandemic. But like right now, it's mostly like libraries. So my favorite one is the Health Sciences Library, because it has like a quiet section and like a little bit of a rowdy section, but it's also because it's closest to my classes, because a bunch of my stuff is in ETB and MDCL, so it's kind of like in that vicinity. Mm-hmm. So yeah, how about you, Sam? What's your favorite spot to hang out?
I really like that McMaster added all the new outdoor spaces, which I think is really cool. Like they added a bunch of like outside, like close to Central almost, they added like a circle of rocks you can sit at, or like they have that new like tent outside of I think it's BSB, where like they have a bunch of picnic tables, a tent. Like they have a lot of cool outdoor spaces, which is really nice, especially right now as the weather's pretty nice. Like knock on wood, it's pretty warm still. So yeah, I like to kind of sit outside, and like there's a lot of cool benches too. Like especially in first year, like I'd get my food to go and sit on a park bench or something just because enjoy the outside a little bit, which is something that's one of the good things about McMaster is like compared to a lot of other places, we have a lot of green space and a lot of trees, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah, there's like a there's like the back of the greenhouse area, and there was just like really nice scenery. It's like right behind bridges, so it's kind of like if you want to walk.
Yeah, that's pretty nice too. I know a lot of people jog around there too, like jog or bike that like path. So like that's another option as well for like getting fit and stuff. And speaking of getting fit, there was a question about the gym. I haven't actually used Pulse recently, but what I would recommend is the Pulse has a website where right now it's a booking only. So you can book on the website, book a time slot, and go to the gym. The equipment's all spaced out, so you can social distance as well. And just a couple gym recommendations. Like I didn't go to the gym at all before first year, like zero. And then the best thing to do is, in my opinion, find a buddy, make a routine, so like it kind of keeps you accountable. Like I went with my roommate, and even when I didn't want to go, he'd be like, "Oh, Sam, today it's Tuesday, we have to go." I'm like, "Okay." So like it kind of keeps you on schedule. So that was really nice. So if you're just starting at the gym, don't be intimidated. Everyone starts at some point. Like I started in January of first year. So like you guys are already ahead of me, probably, if you're in first year. Yeah, make a routine, find a buddy, pick some days. Like there's 1,000,001 videos you can watch on YouTube just about like workout exercises. Like I wouldn't even be concerned. Like I walked in the first day and I was like, what is a weight? How do I use this? Like, what is this machine? Like, how does it work? A lot of them have pictures at the Pulse too, like of how to work them. And like most of them are pretty self-explanatory on how they move. So like, yeah. And if you ask questions, like the people who work at the Pulse, they're all very knowledgeable about the equipment as well. So yeah, if you feel like getting started at the gym, go for it. That's what I say.
Yeah, and there's also a pop-up gym now. Pop-up Pulse. Like I'm not really sure if that's still open due to the pandemic, but it was like a round back, and it had like just a female section. It also was like a little low key because you had to walk like a little bit further to get there. and it just had like less people. So if you're like, oh, I don't really want to go in front of that many people, you can either go like early in the morning because like really nobody's there, or you could go to the pop-up pulse and you'll probably find less people.
Where is the pop-up pulse? Like, is it in DBAC still?
Yeah, it's still in DBAC. It's a little bit of a walk, but there are signs everywhere that say like pop-up pulse, and you can, if when you're entering, you can probably even ask the people at the front desk, like, what's the way to the pop-up pulse?
Okay, yeah, because I've always heard of that, but I had never had an idea of where it was. It was like a little secret.
Yeah. Speaking of like good fun things to do at the gym, there was also a rock climbing area. So if you're like a rock climbing enthusiast and you're like, I don't really want to do like the whole weight scene, like you could still go to the gym for the rock climbing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know my housemate just started doing rock climbing. He said it's really like, it's a good way to get active. Like, it's tough, and it's a lot of fun too. I actually haven't been rock climbing in probably like 6 years, so maybe I'll have to go there. Wow. Good advice. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go there now.
Glad I'm changing some tides here.
Yeah, and also at the DBAC, I don't know if they still have it, but you used to be able to just like ask for a basketball or bring a basketball and go play, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, so like if again, like even if rock climbing is your thing, you can go and just like play sports or like get a frisbee and throw it around in the JHE field. Like, people do that all the time.
Yeah, especially the weather is only good for like 2 more months or something.
Yeah, so get out there if you can. Or like even right now, intramural sports are starting as well. So like at the time this episode's released, the intramural season will probably be close to starting. So yeah, for those who don't really know about intramurals, McMaster has a great intramural program where you basically sign up for whatever you want. Like, I'm playing soccer. I bought a pair of cleats on Kijiji for $20 yesterday because I'm awful at soccer, like so bad. But I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run around and I'm have a good time. And it's play fun, so I'm like, it's not really like that competitive. Like, I'm not playing for McMaster's team. I'm just playing for fun with some friends. So that's another option if you want to get active and go hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, it's a good way to get involved and like make some friends. I know like a lot of the people that are like now in second year, we're just online in first year, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like, how do you make friends? How do you get involved? How do you get to know people? Well, you know, obviously sports and that kind of other fun activities is just one way of doing so. But also another thing is joining clubs. So, Sam, do you have any recommendations to join any clubs?
There was one I've been really looking at. It's called Sumo Bots. I don't know too much about it, but it's basically, what I know is you build a team. I believe it's 4 or 5, and the goal of it is to build a little robot that can flip other robots over, or like get them out of the circle, like a sumo competition kind of thing, but like with robots. And it looks so cool. It's like battle bots, like, or like if you did FIRST robotics in high school, it's like, gives me that kind of a vibe. So I kind of, that's something I'm looking forward to trying this year. I'm not really sure when it starts, but I believe it's somewhat soon. So if you like robots and you think you want to build one, go for it. I think you should join the club. How about you?
Yeah. Yeah, so as like a 5th year, I've been involved in a lot of clubs. So the one club that I have been a part of since basically 2nd year, and now I'm leading it and stuff, is McMaster Start Coding. So what we do is we go and we teach kids programming, and by go, I mean now it's all virtual. But we actually teach a functional programming language called Elm, and we show kids how to make graphics. And the big thing is that while they're making graphics, they're also learning math. So we've partnered with Professor Dr. Christopher Anand, who's in the computing and software department, and we actually conducted a research study with him where we taught kids Elm programming, and we basically gave them a math test before and a math test after, and we found that actually teaching them Elm programming improves their math skills. And we've also been coordinating with school boards and trying to integrate computer science into the curriculum, and trying to get some funding for it. So it's like a super fun club. So if you want to learn programming or if you want to teach kids, a lot of the times we go, so our main goal is to introduce and promote people or promote children to go to STEM, and our focus is underprivileged youth and focusing on other people who might not be getting these opportunities. But if you don't know a lot of coding, it's still a good way for you to get involved, because I say this to everyone, like if we can teach like grade 4 students how to code, we can teach you how to code as well. And then you can help them. So yeah, our main focus is grade 4 to grade 8, but we also teach high school students. And I know I spoke about it for a very long time because I'm super passionate about it. But yeah, like there is like an Instagram and Facebook. So like if you want to reach out and learn more about the McMaster Start Coding, you can also reach out to me and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, sounds good. That's a really cool club. And I think a lot of clubs are starting to recruit about now. So like if you're looking to get involved, now is a good time. Otherwise, like I'm sure you can speak to this too, but I'm sure if you email the club and be like, I'm really super interested and recruiting's done, like I'm sure that wouldn't really be an issue.
Yeah. There's like always like general membership, but if you want exec membership and you want to get more involved in like planning the events, a lot of the clubs posted on Facebook. I know that the newer generation is like less on Facebook and more on Instagram and stuff. But I know that a lot of like the engineering groups or the iBioMed group that we have, they post about events, they post about like exec membership. So I think you can check out the Facebook, like groups. Like I would recommend joining like a first year group or an engineering group or whatever. There's a lot of these Facebook groups, and see if there other people are recruiting and if you're interested.
Yeah, definitely. Like even just this morning, I saw an ad for McMaster fencing, which I didn't even know existed, in the iBioMed group, which is like maybe not traditionally thought of in iBio club, but it seems like something cool to do. So like, yeah, I would, again, like if you are not in those groups, like it's pretty good. Even like they tell, like people talk about classes, like when are tests, like if you need help, you can like reach out in those, be like, oh, like does somebody understand this question in the homework? I can't figure it out, and people are always willing to help. I notice that a lot too. So yeah, if you're not in those groups, I'm sure that if you reach out to somebody on like first year council for iBioMed or like any program you're in, really, you can just reach out to them and they'll point you the right people in the right directions and get you in.
What's the other questions? So how do you get around Hamilton? So Sam, do you have recommendations?
Yeah, well, since you're in Mississauga, I guess you probably just drive in.
Yeah, or take the bus. I take the Go bus.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're in Hamilton and are trying to get around, with your McMaster tuition, you get a Presto bus pass. So I use that quite a bit in first year. The bus routes can pretty much take you anywhere you want to go. There's a bus stop right outside. Oh, what building is that?
ETB?
There's one outside of ETB, and there's also one like inside of campus. Like there's one, I believe it's almost close to MDCL, like a little bit down the road from MDCL. There's one on campus there that you can take, and those can take you to the grocery store if you want to go to like Walmart or something. It can take you there. Like it'll take you pretty much anywhere you want to go in Hamilton. Otherwise, you can walk, and there's also the Sobe bicycle rentals, which is something that we didn't have in Windsor, so it was a new thing to me when I came in Hamilton. Basically what it is you can pay for a membership, and there are these bike stations basically all around Hamilton, and you can just pick up a bike from wherever, type in your code, and bike around. I'm not sure how expensive it is. I think it's pretty affordable. Yeah, I think it's less than $100 a year, which is pretty good. So you can just pick up a bike, or you can pay per like minute used. So for example, if you decided you want to go for a bike ride or something and you don't have access to a bike, which in first year would be pretty hard to have a bike in your res, you just pick up a bike, any bike. They're maintained by the company, and you just drive wherever you want to go, drop it off. There's stations all over. You could drop it off and do what you got to do and take it back if you want. So that's another good way to get around that a lot of people take advantage of.
Yeah, in terms of the Presto, I remember before you have to activate it, right? So there is like a whole thing on Mosaic, and then you put it on your Presto.
Yeah.
Do you know if you still have to activate it?
Yeah, so actually I activated mine last week. If you go on Mosaic, there's like a HSR, Hamilton Street Railway, icon. If you click on that, it gives you your code and an full instruction set on like how to register, like go to this website, type in these details. So it's pretty like explains it pretty well. So if you're looking to register your bus pass, you're going to have to go to Mosaic and click on that icon. And one thing to remember that some people I know, we're pretty unfortunate with this, is you have to ride the bus within 30 days of registering. Otherwise, the code doesn't work. So if you register it and you leave it for a month, the code will expire. So you won't get it. So my suggestion is, if you know you're going to have to take the bus, it takes about 48 hours for it to load on your card. If you know you're going to be having to go get groceries on Saturday, Wednesday, register your card. It'll be good for Friday. Ride the bus Saturday, and you're good for the year. And every year you have to re-register because the bus pass expires at the end of April, which is when school is done. So, yeah, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And also, if you are registered with the bus pass, it makes your account a student account. So even if you're going to like Mississauga or something, students get like a little bit of a discount as well. Although you can just call them and tell them you're a student and you don't need the bus pass for that. But if you think you're going to be like going around Hamilton as well, even if you're not from the city, it's still a good idea to load on the pass because it gives you like a free ride anywhere inside Hamilton.
Yeah, like you're paying for it anyways. You might as well just have it to have it. Like you've already paid for it. So even if you ride it once, It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another question we have here is what to do when you get overwhelmed with work, which is something that I know a lot of people have, because obviously university is different than high school. There's a lot of work. That's not a secret. But yeah, what do you do when you get overwhelmed with work?
Okay, so the first thing I do is like the first day of classes, I put everything in my Google Calendar, like when stuff is due for which class. And so like I can kind of tell ahead of time that I'll have like a few things due that week, so I can like mentally prepare myself. Like prioritization lists. And sometimes if I don't feel like doing one assignment, I procrastinate by doing another assignment. And sometimes procrastinate watching TV and stuff, but yeah. So like sometimes when you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing physics, that's what happened to me a lot in first year. I'm like, okay, I'll do math instead. But when I'm overwhelmed, I find myself, I think the good thing to do is talk to your friends, because you will find that they're also overwhelmed, and then you can just laugh about it together. And just like you can help each other, right? Like a lot of times if you're trying to do something alone, it will take you a long period of time. Whereas if you're sitting next to someone, just like have a study buddy. It'll keep you accountable, and you have to find a friend that you're not like always joking around with as well, that you can actually get work done with. And you'll find that, you know, it's like, oh, how like I'm having trouble with this question. How do you solve it? Or what have you done with it? So you can like figure stuff out together. So I find like talking to friends, and like planning my time accordingly is how I deal with like either not getting overwhelmed or being already overwhelmed, and like how to deal with that.
Yeah, and on top of what you're saying with the Google Calendar, I was thinking to plug the McMaster campus store. Not really to plug them, but this is something that I bought, which is found really helpful. They have like whiteboard calendars that you can like write on it. So like I have my Google Calendar for the whole semester, and then every month I'll like update my calendar, because like sometimes the Google Calendar is hard to like look at month. Like you'll have September and something will be like on October 8th, so you might not see it. So like I write the calendar and I'm like, oh, like here, like I point to things. I'm like, oh, here I have 3 days. So it's like more of a visual thing, and I keep it over my desk so I kind of know. Also on Amazon, you can get little notepads that have like to do, and it gives you like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you can like plan your week out. Like on Sundays, I write like on Monday, I'm going to do this assignment. On Tuesday, I'm going to do this assignment. So kind of like, because sometimes when you see, oh, I have 5 assignments to this week, well, like that doesn't happen. Or you have 5 assignments to do this week, maybe not that are due this week. It's pretty overwhelming. But when you break it down and say on Monday I'm going to do half of this assignment and half of the other one, it kind of takes into more bite-sized pieces that are like easier to like look at and kind of make you feel better. But I don't have 5 assignments due. Like I have 5 days to do it. Like that's pretty okay. Yeah. And also, I have that too.
Oh, you have the same thing? The big whiteboard, and it's like right in front of my desk, so I can stare at the stuff that I have to do all the time. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a good motivator. I like it. I still have my same one from first year too, so they're pretty they last a long time. You have to buy one for like your whole university experience, and then The other thing that I like to do when I'm overwhelmed, like you said, hang out with friends, that's a good one. Take advantage, like you can walk around campus. I find sometimes going outside is helpful because if you're overwhelmed with work, a lot of time you'll be inside doing work, which is like sometimes staring at your wall isn't really the best thing. So if you go for a walk, you can look at trees and like a lot of green space and stuff and like see other people. So it kind of gives you a bit of a change of scenery so you can kind of reset yourself and like get ready to like do more work later on. Also, a lot of thing that a lot of people have done and do, which is something I do too, is if you go to the gym, sometimes even just going for like a little bit, just like working out a little bit, running on the treadmill, just like kind of like getting your like stress out a little bit, like so you kind of don't think about work as much when you're like thinking about, oh, I want to try to run like this much time for a kilometer or whatever. Like you're not really thinking about work, you're thinking about pushing yourself to like work out more, so it kind of takes your mind away from it. So I find that to be helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of nature and scenery, like we also have a bunch of trails near McMaster, like Coots and stuff, so you can go on a hike if you want. And I find that a lot of people that when they're like stressed about work, they end up like staying up super late and like working on stuff. But I find that sleep is just so important. So I would say like, and I made this mistake in first year myself. Oh, there's a story here. That 1 week I had like, linear algebra and physics, like exam as well as one of my electives. And just like the night before physics, I slept for like maybe 4 hours and it went horrible. So I would suggest that even if you haven't fully studied, get like a few good hours of sleep, not 4, more than 4. And you're more likely to do better if you're well rested than you're not.
Yeah, like any prof will tell you, if you're reading something at 4 a.m. for the first time, it's probably not going to stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find sometimes if you read your notes too before you go to bed, it's a weird thing. Like one TA told me this one time, and it worked. If you read your notes once and then go right to bed, your brain will kind of process it a little bit, and you'll wake up in the morning and you'll remember things that like you didn't know you remembered. Like I had for the OCATs don't actually exist anymore, I don't think, for cell bio. Basically, it was a test where you had to like write in a crossword puzzle for your answer. It was basically a big fill in the blank test. So I was pretty nervous about it, and I was awake for a while, like studying. I was like, oh. And then I read my notes, went to bed, woke up the next day, wrote the test, and there was one answer. I'm like, I don't know how I know this is the fill in the blank answer, but this is the answer. But I don't know where, I don't know when I remembered this, when I learned this, but here it is. So,
wow.
Yeah, so that's a little strategy. I don't know, call it a trick, call it a fluke. You guys can try it, see.
No, it's actually, there have been studies done that sleeping consolidates memory. So it makes perfect sense, scientifically speaking.
Oh, good. I thought I was just trusting a fluke. I was like, it must just be placebo or something.
Maybe, but at least something is better than nothing, right?
Exactly.
But in this case, I think it is definitely the case, like consolidating memories by sleeping. That's why they've also done studies on people who are well rested, and they actually give you a piece of information and you have 12 hours to either do some other work and then test you on it, or 12 hours within that you sleep and they test you on it. And a study showed that people who actually had those 12 hours and part of it they were sleeping for actually did better on the test. So fun facts.
Wow. Yeah. So sleep well then, I guess. So all-nighters are not the answer. That's the conclusion of the discussion.
Yeah. So another fun question was best lecture halls.
That's a fun one. My favorite lecture hall? I'm going to have to go with the Peter George one, which happened to be my residence in first year. That might be a little bit biased because I could roll out of bed at 8:25, go down the elevator, and be ready for my math class at 8:30. So that might be a bit biased because I haven't really been in a lecture hall since then, really, because like all of my classes, my lectures are online still. But I like those ones because they have the long tables, so you don't have to deal with like the very like small tables that you can barely fit your laptop on. Like there's a huge long table. You can like fit your laptop, notes if you need them. There's a lot of room to write, as well as there's a lot of seats in there. There's 2 big screens so you can see what the prof is doing. And it is also the newest lecture hall. But yeah, that would be my pick. How about you?
Does it have outlets?
Oh, that's a good question. In first year, my computer battery was good, but now my computer battery lasts actually 1 hour and a half. So now
mine 2 hours. Like, it's so bad. So my favorite one is L.R. Wilson. So L.R. Wilson, best like long tables like you were mentioning, but it has outlets for every seat. So yeah, it's awesome. You can just plug your computer in while you're in a lecture, and it's like a super nice seating as well. And L.R. Wilson is actually kind of a new building. When I first started, it had just been made in 2017, so it's not that old of a building.
Yeah,
good.
That's a good one too. That's pretty important. Like for first years, it's probably they probably just bought their laptops, so it won't be a concern. But like for us who've been doing online school for over a year, like my computer was plugged in for like 6 months straight, so the battery is just not even there anymore. Like the battery, like once I unplug it, goes, "What are you doing?" Like
I need power.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's become a like desktop now, but it's actually a laptop.
Yeah, it's speaking of the lecture halls, there is a question that says places on campus to watch virtual lectures. So have you done that, and where have you found a spot that you think is amazing for virtual lectures?
So for me, I've had to do that because I have a tutorial in person, and I've kind of 2 classes sandwiching it. So I go to the library most of the time just because I know there it's going to be pretty quiet. Just throw in my headphones and just listen to the lectures. It's kind of a good spot because I think pretty much everybody there is doing basically the same thing. So everyone kind of knows that this is the lecture time, like we're all going to be quiet. And yeah, that's kind of where I watch most of my lectures, if not there. I know that some people do it in the student center as well. For me, it might be a bit loud, but there you can talk. So if you're in a class that has a lot of interaction, or like you can like wants to ask like audio questions instead of like typing in the chat, that's another place you can go where like, because talking in the library you might get a lot of looks. But yeah, how about you?
So I've only attended one virtual lecture, and I attended it in Hatch. So like Hatch is a place for like it's not really just for engineering students, but like with engineering you can get kind of like a key card and get into like study rooms that you can book as well. But yeah, so like in Hatch is pretty good, and in JHE as well. So like those are like the 2 places that I've done my virtual lectures, but I would imagine that any library is a very good place to do that.
Yeah, and speaking of libraries, another question, which one is your favorite library? Which is a tough question because we have a lot of great ones, but...
Yeah, I said HSL because it was like closer to my classes, but I found that like it depended on the time of the year. So like when it's exam season, like basement of Thode, like just the quiet area. Or if I was feeling like super serious, it was like the 5th floor of Mills. For some reason it's sometimes super hot there, but yeah, like everyone's super quiet, especially if it's like exam season. Those are the 2 places I went for, just like quiet, and like you see everyone working around you, so it's kind of a motivator as well. But if I'm just like hanging out for fun, HSL, or there's like 3rd floor of the Mills Library, which I don't know if it's open anymore, but it's like the Leon's Virtual Center or whatever, and it has like nice chairs, and there's like a room where you can play video games as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's open, like just like all these questions with the pandemic, but yeah, check that out.
Yeah. See, for me, I've never really been a library person, which like everyone like before I came to university was like, you have to use the libraries, have to use the libraries. So it was like, for me, I don't like how quiet it is. I don't know what it is about it. It's just I feel like self-conscious every time I type because I'm a loud typer. So like I feel like everyone's listening to me, and like I just really am not a big fan of the quiet in the library. So I like to be in my room. I have my double monitor. I blare music in my headphones because I don't like quiet. But when I do go to libraries, I like Thode just because the chairs are very comfortable. There's a lot of outlets. there's a lot of engineering people in there as well. So like if you need help with pretty much anything, you'll be able to find someone to help you. There'll be people you like recognize from classes there, because though is basically like is it officially the engineering library or is it unofficially the engineering library?
I think it's officially like engineering and sciences.
Okay, because I know a lot of engineering people go there, but I didn't know if it was just a coincidence or if it was actually like the engineering library. Plus, it looks like a football helmet, and I love football, so. Side point.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to say about like fun facts about the campus or something that you like doing?
Fun facts. Wow, you caught me off guard here. I'm not really sure. I'd say just like, especially to the first years, just enjoy being on campus while you can, because there's a lot of great resources available to you, like the libraries, the professor's office hours, like food places. There's a lot of great resources on campus for you to use. Take advantage of them. You're paying for them anyway, so you might as well use them. That would be my kind of advice about campus in general, and now that it's open, which is woohoo, but yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For me, there's like all the Coots trails and all that stuff, and I was just the campus is really beautiful. Like sometimes if you just have time, just like walk around and like look at the different places that you can be. You'll find some like cool spots. There's this like one statue of like Mr. McMaster. I don't know what his Senator McMaster.
Mr. McMaster.
And, like, Mr. Senator McMaster. Like there's like a statue of him, and I guarantee you a lot of people just like sit next to the statue and like on the bench and like take pictures there. So like and then there's like the cool arch that's like that every McMaster student will like have a picture with. So just like fun facts, walk around, take pictures around campus, prove that you were there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Well, that's all the questions we have for today. I hope that I had a lot of fun with this episode. This is our first episode together without a guest, so I thought it went pretty well.
Yeah, me too. But if you guys have any more questions about campus, like feel free to reach out to Sam and I, or you could even message like the iBioMed socials, and I'm sure someone will answer your questions.
Yeah, definitely. And just to plug some other episodes of the podcast, if you're new, we have a lot of podcasts talking about research, talking about medical school, talking about extracurriculars, pretty much a lot of different things you would want to listen to. We're here for you. You can go back and listen to our old episodes, all anywhere you find your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And yeah, stay tuned for some more episodes. We're back and ready to go. Hopefully we're going to have a great semester.
See ya, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
Hey, you reached the end of this episode. Well, there's actually a bit more. Thanks for donating your brainwaves to us for this short amount of time. To keep up with what's on our minds, make sure to like and follow the podcast. We'll be releasing new episodes on the first Thursday of each month with a different set of hosts. Got a question, comment, or suggestion on your minds? You can send a voice message at anchor.fm/McMaster iBioMed, or fill out our online form at bit.ly/brainwaves-questions. Want to keep up with all things iBioMed? Follow our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube channels at MacIBiomed. And thanks to Lope Music Production for our background music. Until next time.